Monday, April 21st, 2025. And welcome back, everyone. This is the 22nd edition of your FinWell Daily Brief.
Great to be here.
Let's kick things off with our financial fact for today. And this one, well, it really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
Get this. As of 2024, India's mutual fund industry crossed 150 million folios.
Wow, 150 million. That's huge.
Isn't it? Just think about that number. It's not just statistics. It really tells a story about, more and more people getting involved in formal investment.
Absolutely. It points towards broader financial inclusion, definitely.
Yeah.
People are looking beyond just traditional savings, maybe more awareness, better access.
Exactly. It makes you wonder who these new investors are, what they're aiming for long term.
True. A very positive trend overall.
Totally agree. Now, speaking of trends, let's dive into today's market action. It was, well, quite a day.
Seemed like it. Pretty green across the board.
Very green. The Nifty 50 closed at 24,127.60. That's up 275 points, about 1.16%. Solid.
Okay, solid indeed.
But wait, the real fireworks were maybe in the mid and small caps? The Nifty mid-cap 150 just soared. Closed at 19,868.60.
Okay.
Up 435 points. That's a 2.24% jump.
Wow, 2.24. That's significant.
Right. And the Nifty Small Cap 250 wasn't far behind. It finished at 15,765.35, up over 313 points, or 2.03%.
Strong performance there, too.
Yeah, and even the Nifty Total Market Index climbed nicely to 12,368.20, gaining 1.50%. It's really widespread gains, a very strong day.
That kind of broad-based rally suggests pretty strong sentiment, doesn't it? It's not just one or two sectors pulling everything up. Feels like confidence is quite widespread.
Good point. Like there's optimism about the overall economy, maybe.
Could be, or specific positive news flow driving things across different segments. Yeah. Worth watching what sectors led the charge.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about bond yields and the rupee?
Always important to track those.
So the 10-year GSEC yield closed at 6.442%. Now, the interesting bit here is it's up by 7 basis points.
Okay, a slight uptick, so borrowing costs nudge a little higher.
Exactly. Makes government borrowing just a tiny bit more expensive. What kind of ripple effect does that have, even if it's small?
Well, even small moves in the benchmark GSEC can influence corporate borrowing costs.
Right.
Eventually, it might trickle down, potentially affecting loan rates. Though 7 basis points isn't a huge jump in itself. It's more about the direction.
Right, the direction of interest rates. Got it. And the currency. How did the rupee fare against the US dollar?
Some positive movement there. The INR closed at 85.1125 per dollar.
And it strengthened, right?
Yes, by about 0.3%. Seems the U.S. dollar index weakened a bit. There's some talk about uncertainty around the Federal Reserve leadership playing a role.
Interesting. So global factors helping the rupee today. If you're tracking currencies, that's definitely noteworthy.
It really shows how interconnected things are. A weaker dollar generally helps us with the import bill, potentially easing inflation pressure down the line.
Which is always welcome news.
Absolutely.
Okay, just before we jump into the main news headlines, a quick word about our sponsored segment. It's the Ahmedabad Real Estate Review, and it's brought to you by SOS Realty. So if you're looking at property in Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar, buying, renting, investing, this podcast dives deep into those booming markets.
Makes sense. Real estate, especially in growing cities like Ahmedabad, is a key area for many investors. Having focused insights is valuable.
Definitely worth a listen if that's on your radar. Check out Ahmedabad Real Estate Review, powered by SOS Realty.
Good tip.
All right, let's meet to the main financial and economic news shaping things today. First, as we mentioned, the rupee gained some ground against the dollar.
Yeah, driven by that weaker dollar index and maybe some U.S. political uncertainty, as you said.
So the takeaway is that global currents are definitely impacting us. A stronger rupee helps on the import side.
Correct. It can be a bit of a cushion against imported inflation, at least for a while.
Okay, now this is interesting. The RBI, our central bank, has a new plan. Starting with May 2nd, they're introducing bond forwards.
Yes, bond forwards. What's the main goal there?
Well, the idea is to boost demand for state development loans, SDLs. And if demand goes up,
then yields or borrowing costs for the states should hopefully come down.
Exactly. It's meant to make these state bonds more attractive, maybe provide hedging tools, and ultimately make it cheaper for states to fund projects.
That's quite a significant development for the bond market. Deepening the market for SDLs and providing hedging instruments is definitely a positive step. It could really help state finances.
Seems like it. And speaking of positive signals, check this out. Foreign investors poured over $1.5 billion into Indian equities just last week.
Over $1.5 billion in 1 week. That's a serious inflow.
Tells you something about international confidence, doesn't it?
It certainly does. That level of FII inflow suggests strong optimism about India's growth prospects and potential returns. It's fuel for the market.
Definitely. Now let's talk oil. Brent crude prices actually fell by about 1.8%. They're down to around $66.08 per barrel.
Okay, $66.08. That's good news for us, being a major oil importer.
Absolutely. Lower crude prices help keep our import bill down and, crucially, help manage inflation.
Yeah, that has a direct impact. Lower fuel costs, potentially lower input costs for industries. It provides some breathing room.
For sure. And one last point on the domestic front. It looks like the RBI's recent liquidity injections are making waves. Bond prices have hit highs not seen in over 3 years.
Right. That reflects the accommodative monetary policy stance. When the RBI injects liquidity, it tends to push bond prices up and yields down.
So it shows those measures are working to keep borrowing costs manageable and support the system.
Precisely. It's all part of ensuring smooth financial conditions to support economic activity.
Okay, so putting all these pieces together, strong equity markets, strengthening rupee, lower oil prices, supportive RBI actions. What's your overall take on the market outlook right now?
Well, the picture looks quite positive, doesn't it? Indian equities are showing real strength. You've got supportive factors like the rupee move, the drop in crude, and those strong foreign inflows.
Yeah, seems like a good mix.
And that RBI move with bond forwards, that's a positive structural development for the bond market too. More tools, better depth.
But there's always a but, isn't there? Should we still be cautious?
I think prudence is always wise. While the domestic picture looks encouraging, we can't ignore potential global turbulence. Things like, shifts in U.S. monetary policy or any geopolitical flare-ups could still cause volatility.
Right. So optimism, but tempered with caution. Diversification is probably still key.
Exactly. Stay positive, but stay diversified and aware of the global risks. Don't get complacent.
Sound advice. So to wrap up today's briefing, the Indian markets are definitely showing strength, backed by both local factors and some favorable global wins. But for you, our listeners, staying informed and maintaining a balanced investment approach remains the best strategy.
Couldn't agree more. Knowledge and balance are crucial.
Absolutely. And hey, if you find these daily briefings helpful, please do subscribe so you catch the next one.
Yes, please do.
And if any of these topics sparked questions or you want to discuss things further, reach out to SOS FinWell on LinkedIn. They're always open for a chat.
Engagement is key to learning.
Indeed. All right, let's end with our quote of the day. This one's from the legendary George Soros. It's not whether you're right or wrong that's important, but how much money you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong.
Powerful words on risk management. Something to definitely think about.
Definitely. Ponder that one as you navigate the markets. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next FinWell Daily Brief.